Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to dupe the vibes of the Gourmande Girls' new Mocha Moment palette. When I saw the color story, it totally reminded me of the shades that I have in my collection, and most of the shades I would say is either from the Whispering Woods palette from Ensley Rain or from Adept Cosmetics Minka palette, and also from the Light in Your Eyes palette, also from Ensley Rain. So if you want to see how I achieved the similar vibes of the Mocha Moment palette from Gourmande Girls, and if you want to see the swatches and how I achieved this look, then please keep on watching. Okay, let's begin with the swatches first. I'm gonna go row by row. The first shade is called Marble Mocha, and this I duped actually from the shade called Arctic Wolf from the Wolf Moon palette. Let me take my watch off so that we can do all the swatches. Now I also feel like the Gourmande Girls shade in their palette is definitely more textured. Mine, the Wolf Moon shade, is definitely a little bit more smoother, I would say, but very dimensional. I also don't know if there are a lot of shifts like this in the Gourmande Girls palette or not. More shifts the better for me. The next shade here, let's do both of these matte shades together. The second shade is called Cafe Mocha in their palette, and this is from Harvest Moon, and the shade is called Chili. It's a gray based purple shade. There you go. And the third shade is called Mocha Mousse, which is from the Light in Your Eyes palette, and the shade is called Sharing Space. So let me show it to you. These are the first three shades that I'm trying to dupe. The next shade is called Biscotti with Mocha, which is this sparkly, I would say goldeny kind of shade. And then we have this shade, which is Mocha Madness, which is from the Whispering Woods palette. Now this one I duped with this shade. It's from the Light in Your Eyes palette, and the shade is called Eyes That Light Up. So let me show you. It's like a liquid metal shade, and the next shade is duped from the Whispering Woods palette, and the shade is called Elven Forest. So there you go. That's the first row swatched for you guys. I think in the Gourmande Girls palette, this shade is more gold. Mine is definitely gold, but it is more like a white gold shade. I think that's the liberty that I took while curating my palette, because I felt like the two golds in this palette are very similar. Okay, let's begin with the next row. This shade is called Peppermint Mocha, and this I duped with the shade from the Adept Minka palette, and the shade is called Toya. And the next shade is another goldeny shimmer shade, and I went a little bit more deeper with this, and this one is called Churro with Mocha, and this is also from the Adept palette, and the shade is called Emma. So let's swatch that. There you go. Those are the next two shades. Again, this might not be exact dupe. I'm just creating a similar vibe here. Okay, the next shade is the Pop of the Eye shade here, this one, and this is called Mocha Mocha, and this I duped with the Whispering Woods palette, and the shade is called Mossling. And next we have the White Choco Mocha shade, which I have duped with the Light in Your Eyes palette, and the shade is called Synchronicity. So let's watch that. There you go. Those are the next two shades. This shade that we swatched here is definitely a little bit more cool tone, like a gray leaning shade, and this one has a little bit more yellowness to it. Okay, the next shade is called Java Mocha, and this one I duped with the Adept Minka palette, the new Minka palette, and this one, the shade is called Mia. So let's watch that. It's definitely like a gold to a pink shifting shade. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so those are the first two rows swatched for you guys. Now let's move on to the last row. The first shade in the last row is called Mexican Mocha, and this is duped from the Cold Moon palette, and the shade is called Borealis. The next shade is called Maui Mocha, and this is from the Whispering Woods palette, and the shade is called Echo. And the third shade is Mellow Mocha, and this is from Light in Your Eyes palette, and the shade is called Girlfriend is Better. So let's watch that. The Mexican Mocha shade is definitely more like a marbly shade in the Gourmande Girls palette. I tend to dupe as similar as I can with the shades that I had in my collection. There you go. Okay, let's move on to the last two shades. The last two shades, this one is called Chai with Mocha, which is dupe from the Whispering Willow palette, and the shade is called Dream Willow. And then we have Hazelnut Mocha, which is duped from the Light in Your Eyes palette, and the shade is called Grounded. So let's watch that. Now there you go. And those are the swatches of my dupe palette. I tend to get as much as close as I can just to get the vibes of the palette. I have some thoughts about this palette towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now once you've seen all the swatches live, now let's see how we create this look using this dupe palette. So let's begin. Okay, let's begin our look with the dupe palette that we created for the Gourmande Girls Mocha palette. So this is how it looks. I definitely want to dip into so many different colors. I'm going to start off with this shade. I'm going to take that in the outer corner, and this is definitely a deep plummy purpley kind of shade. I have something going on in my eye. That part is so painful. But if there's a little bit of swelling, just ignore that. I'm gonna just take the same thing on the other side too. I'm just stamping it right there. Okay, once we have that all stamped across the outer portion of the eyelid, I'm gonna take that same shade just on the outer portion of the lower lash line too. Just right there. Just to connect everything together. Now I'm gonna take this shade. It's definitely a deeper shade, like a grayish purpley shade, and I'm gonna take that to blend the outer portion of the eyelid, just so that the blend is seamless. And I'm going to take that same shade to blend the lower lash line too. Okay, just right there. Now just to deepen out the extreme outer corner, I'm going to take that deepest shade in the palette, just a tad bit, and I'm going to just stamp it right there. Okay, just bringing as much as depth as we possibly can there. And now you can definitely go monochromatic this way, but I want to include some of the greens too. So I'm thinking what? Let's start off with that green actually, this pea green shade right in the center. And I'm going to take that as the inner portion, inner crease shade, just right there, okay? Again, I'm not calling it like a dupe or anything, but I wanted to like create similar vibes with the palette that I already had in my collection, and to see if it really captures my heart to buy it or can I skip it. Now I'm going to take this shade and I'm going to just take that and melt it with the other portion of the eyelid, okay? Just right there, just underneath the brow bone to give that purpley hue. For the lower lash line, I'm gonna take this shade and I'm gonna take that across the inner portion of the lower lash line. Now, time for shimmers. There's so many options to choose from. I am gonna start off with this shade, this one. It's a marbly shade in the Gourmande Girls palette. So I'm gonna take that across the eyelid, I would say, like a majority of the eyelid. I'm just taking the inner portion bare, just right there, okay? You can see that shift happening. Really, really pretty. Now once you've done that, I'm just stamping the edges. with no additional product, just whatever was left over on the brush. Okay, now for the inner portion, I'm going to take this silvery shade and I'm going to take that. It looks like in the Gourmande Girls palette, it's a little bit more of a textured shade. This one is definitely more dimensional, but it's not textured by any means. It's very smooth. Right there. I really love the way how that turned out. Just intensifying whatever we had in the crease. So just taking that green and also taking that purpley shade and melting everything out. For the inner corner, I'm going to take this shade. It's definitely a light paler shade. And I'm just stamping it right there in the inner corner. Just right there. Now once we have that, let me finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll come right back. And there you go, that's my final look. I really love the way how this turned out. The combination is really beautiful. I just don't know how much variety of looks we can get out of this palette. I love the way how this turned out for sure. And I love a combination of green and purple together. I feel like I'm not a big green person, so I won't see myself reaching out for greens all the time. But I also feel like the two golden shimmer that are included in that palette is also pretty similar. I don't think we needed like two gold shimmers there. I love the addition of this and an icy white shade, but also again, I don't have the palette, so I cannot speak about it, but I've seen a lot of reviews and it seems like a little bit more of an emollient and a thicker texture. And this one is definitely like more of a duochrome. But otherwise, I love the mauve side of the palette. I just don't know how much it calls out a mocha palette. Like the name itself, the Mocha Moment, I don't think it's reflecting in that palette. Yes, it's not a brown palette. Like, and whenever I'm thinking of mocha, I'm thinking of hot chocolates and like brownie tones. So I was expecting something very different, but we got a little different, and that's what steered me a little other way out of the palette. Because once I heard the Mocha Moment palette and I was like, Gourmande Girls is coming out with like a neutral palette, I was like, I'm all up for it. But when I saw the color story, it was leaning more green to purple. I was like, I think I can live without it because I do have those shades in my collection. I did finish off my lips with the Pat McGrath lipstick in the shade Lavish. So that's what I have on my lips. But that's all for today. If you did like this video, if you do like my dupes video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do have a code with Gourmande Girls. My code is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.